All right, we're back, and we've got one more round of Swiss. Beky Bell's still here with me, and we have players who are now likely playing for top 8. So let's take a look at what our this round.
All right, so we have Fabrizio Anteri.
Fabrizio Anteri, yeah.
Fabrizio, okay, thank you. Playing Blue-Black Control. We were also just watching somebody play Blue-Black Control, so we're seeing kind of an incline in this deck. It's not something that I feel like I saw a whole lot of before, but we're seeing a bit of it now. Not playing Lockmere Serpent in this deck, but we are seeing Artis, Oracle of Half-Truths, as a little bit of a creature inclusion, and some other fun cards to possibly watch are also the 2 of Sublime Epiphany.
Yeah, that's a wild one, but super strong if you can get to it. And also, what's worth noting is if you are looking at home at these deck lists the way I did when Companions first came in and kind of confused for a moment as to why there are so many lands in this deck, this is a Yorion deck.
Oh, okay.
So that is going to certainly set it apart from the Blue-Black Control deck that we watched played by Shane Downey, which was not a Yorion deck.
Not a Yorion deck. So that would possibly contribute to why we were playing something like Artis while we were playing Omen of the Seas and some extra ETB enchantments and creatures. Though not a whole lot. Still very, very control, very instant and sorcery oriented for sure.
Right. Yeah. And Fabrizio is playing against Dylan Simpson playing Temur Ramp.
All right.
Temur Ramp.
Still no Ugins in this version of Temur Ramp.
Right. Now, it's a strong deck, but playing a ramp deck in general, I'm not really hoping to play against counters.
No. In fact, that is exactly the type of thing that I would hope to avoid like the plague.
Right.
At all costs. It's possible that Bone Crusher Giant is a great kind of aggressive must-answer thing against some of the control decks, so I suppose playing 4 of those is very good. If our Edgewall Innkeeper can live, getting some card advantage off of that. But it really doesn't feel like we're ever going to be able to cast a Genesis Ultimatum and be able to get any value off of it, because it's likely going to be the thing that the control player says, this counter in my hand? Yeah, this is staying for a Genesis Ultimatum. I don't want that coming out.
Yeah, so this might be tough for Dylan, but things don't always progress the way we think, and this is certainly a hand to be happy about. It's going to develop a little slowly, but even so, 2 Edgewall Innkeepers and an adventure creature is nice.
Yeah, 2 Edgewall Innkeepers. A little sad that we don't have another green source to be able to play both of them on the same turn. That's a tad bit of a shame, because it would be really cool to go Innkeeper into straight Lovestruck Beast, draw some cards next turn, but we're going to take what we can get, and I imagine that one of them is coming down this turn.
Yeah, I would expect as well. And then because of the hang-up on green, we may see Beanstalk into the other Innkeeper next turn. But there we get into trouble, because if the Beanstalk gets countered, boy, this is going to develop very slowly.
At least we have all the colors we could possibly want in our hand. We have a little bit of solace in that factor. We're not stuck on not having a red source or some other problem. At least we're going to be able to get this Cultivate. We see him choosing to play Cultivate instead of the Beanstalk Giant. Likely just playing 3 mana, we aren't going to have... I guess if we had played the Beanstalk Giant, we could have followed up with Heart's Desire or Edgewall Innkeeper, but we're choosing to just get as many basic lands out of our deck as possible and hopefully draw into bigger and better things.
Yeah, interesting. That's fine. It's not... Maybe... I don't think that would have been my instinctual way to go, but all right.
Perhaps not thinking about the fact that the land off of Beanstalk Giant comes into play untapped.
Well, I mean,
not the most intuitive thing.
Maybe, or try. I feel like a lot of times, me personally, I don't give the players enough credit. So it could also be that this was the intention, and this just knowing that this game likely is going to be long, like you're saying, pulling the extra land out of the deck right away. Over time, like deck cleaning isn't huge, but over time it does add up eventually. As Atris comes down on the other side and picks up, looks like land and Cling to Dust, which I'm sure Fabrizio is totally fine with that.
And we're going to go ahead and play Innkeeper and immediately get some value off the Innkeeper, playing the Lovestruck Beast, getting some things onto the board we'll see how long they last. Not long.
Right. Yeah, this is already... I don't know. I feel like it's already getting away from Dylan a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we said earlier, like, just going into the game, that this was not really the thing that the Temur ramp deck is going to want to be going up against. I mean, I said that I would have wanted to bring Temur ramp in to this tournament if I was playing in it, and I can tell you right now, if there was a deck that I would have liked to dodge through the entire tournament, it would be exactly this blue-black control deck.
Yeah. So, Heart's Desire is on the stack. We'll see if Fabrizio has something to say about that, and there is a negate. Now, Dylan did play that before playing Beanstalk Giant, so perhaps he would rather have the Giant Resolve, given the choice. I'm sure he'd have preferred to have both, but given the way things worked out, there is a land drop for the turn, so I guess Obosh could be picked up. So this turn, I mean, Dylan made a lot of use of his mana, but the board didn't advance.
Board didn't advance. We didn't deal any damage. Our hand doesn't look that great. So it's kind of a scary place to be in going into the next turn, even after you're able to use all your mana, is your opponent hasn't tapped any of their mana, and it's a control deck being like, okay, go.
Yeah.
All right. On the bright side, we do have Genesis Ultimatum mana. As if it's a pipe dream that it could ever resolve. But we did see a negate get used on a Heart's Desire. So, if there was ever a time where it was a slim possibility, though I imagine it's weird. If a negate gets used on a Heart's Desire, the person is either saying, I don't really have a way to handle a 5/5, so I don't want your Lovestruck Beast to attack. Or they're saying, I have other counter spells, and I'm not really scared of what you're going to play going forward.
Right. That's the scary thought for Dylan, but I agree with you there. And Fabrizio doesn't have a ton of cards, but he's got the ability to draw 2 new ones right now with Cling to Dust and Tome, and then 2 other ones. There's not a huge density of counters in this deck, but there are some scary ones like Sublime Epiphany, which would just be absolutely nightmarish right now.
Oh, that would be horrible. Make a copy of this Beanstalk Giant?
Yeah. Given that it was taking Fabrizio a moment there, either he's trying to choose targets for all the different modes, or he doesn't have one and he's just got some other things to deal with, and that's what we see. Shark Typhoon as a 4/4, that's not... this is a 2-turn clock.
Yeah. If we attacked with Artis, it would be a 2-turn clock. So... Yeah. Fabrizio's making me a little bit wrong, but the Menace would have been able to get through the Lovestruck Beast, or the Lovestruck Beast gets no. Never mind. No, right. Okay. Good call to not attack with the Artis. I'm immediately rescinding. We attacked with Artis last turn because there was just a Lovestruck Beast. My brain's coming around.
Well, that's certainly good. We need... All right. Are we... Hold on. I got myself confused here.
No, it's okay.
Are we just to... Yeah, so just to... It's not a big deal, but personally, I find it frustrating when commentators pronounce cards differently and never check to correct each other. And we're pronouncing that card differently between the two of us. Artis? So one of us is... Well, hopefully one of us is right.
How are you pronouncing it?
Atris is what I was saying.
Oh, I am saying it wrong. Okay, you're correct.
All right. So, well, I don't know if I'm correct, but I will say this. I don't know if I'm correct, but I'm confident that you're wrong.
Yeah, no, I upon seeing it now on the side of the screen, I've been putting the R and T in different places, so yeah. I'm certainly wrong.
Well, he who has name of uncertain pronunciation is dying, and in response to Cling to Dust, I shouldn't even say he. This character,
yeah,
the Oracle of Half-Truths, is probably going to be dying here.
Probably. And then hopefully Dylan will be attacking in for quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid hit.
Ooh, do we try and play Obosh this turn too?
1, 2...
Is it worth trying to...
Well, let's... Or was this even into... No, it's like...
Okay.
But still...
We were just activating the Maze Mind Tome first. But then, yeah, Nah, we're just gonna attack for a lot.
Yeah, well, that's a big chunk, though.
That is a big chunk. That's certainly leveling the playing field quite a bit.
And Cling to Dust fires off to draw a card.
It's amazing how many incidental ways there are to draw cards in this deck.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of been the theme for the last year or two of Magic, and why things have kind of gone crazy with, the Omnath being the peak of this card actually draws a card for no reason whatsoever. But
yeah,
there's a lot of that going around.
It also gains 4 life, and Omnath was just. I mean, I get it. They wanted to have like a really cool, flashy card, but it's also really silly and kind of a funny place to sit in when you know that they imagined a card pretty much only being good in Commander. But then the moment that you also introduce a card like Lotus Cobra in the same set, you think that we're not going to try and throw those cards together?
All right, so Fabrizio plays Crawling Barrens and then puts Yorion in hand and casts it all in the same turn. Atris bounces and does the Mini Factor Fiction again. And let's see. So we have a Heartless Act face down, 2 land face up. No, maybe not.
Nah, that's the pile I would make.
I agree. And Fabrizio takes the removal spell. Well, okay. Fabrizio takes the face down card and gets a removal spell.
Yeah, if it's so good that you're hiding it, I want to know.
Yeah, this is maybe not completely out of reach, but
I'm trying to think.
At least the Lovestruck can attack finally.
The Lovestruck can attack. Beanstalk can attack.
Yeah.
Is there a world? Brazen Borrower can block the Yorion at least. If we have the Obosh in play, the Brazen Borrower actually trades with the Yorion.
Right. Now, I think there's a lot of hesitation here on Dylan's side. I mean, there's a Heartless Act that is known.
Yeah, if there's an Extinction event in the hand of Fabrizio, what goes away?
Well,
everything goes away if it's odd. Because your entire deck is odd because you're playing Obosh.
Right. Well, that's certainly something to consider. But can we beat an Extinction event in any scenario right now?
Oh, probably not. So maybe you just want to slam Obosh.
So I think you just play the Obosh. Because now the Beanstalk Giant doesn't have to be blocked.
Yeah, I think now that we've established that we don't beat it anyway, that probably was the correct play. And you would want to force it to be blocked, knowing that the Heartless Act is in hand.
Right. I think if we play the Obosh, is it possible both creatures get blocked? Probably Beanstalk. No, yeah, both would have to get blocked because then a Bone Crusher would be lethal.
Yeah.
Not this turn. There's only 2 red, but still.
Have we played a land this turn? We had not played a land this turn, so it would have been lethal. We should have played the Obosh.
Yeah.
We should. And there was no mana untapped. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, maybe Dylan knows something that we don't. That has been a theme.
All right. Well, let's see. Now, Fabrizio, there's only one unknown card in Dylan's hand. Fabrizio is working with several cards over there, although is behind on the board.
Several cards and a lot of mana. We do have a Crawling Barrens in play, so the Crawling Barrens could attack.
Wow, I'm thinking about, from Fabrizio's side, I'm thinking of staying alive, not of winning, but okay.
Sometimes you got to think about winning.
No, you're right. You do.
It is sadly is one short of presenting lethal and forcing a block. But Atris.
Ooh, that's not a good one. That's not a fun one to split.
Yeah, that certainly feels quite bad. I don't want to give him one of these.
Yeah, I mean, if you split this way, they're just Fabrizio's going to take. Okay, I think that's all right. You just hope Fabrizio takes the neutralize instead of 2 land. No, change it up.
Wouldn't that be funny? I'm pretty sure I'm dead. Have all 3 of them.
Yeah, the.
Oh, I don't envy that position. That is not a fun.
No, it's not. I like the showing the neutralize.
Yeah.
Because if you show the Ashiok and the Heartless Act, I can't imagine them not being taken, because what if there's a land underneath?
Yeah. What if, the land that we could play this turn, so we could play the Ashiok this turn. We could have also played both of our Heartless Acts and made sure that we get in for 4 damage. I guess, like, we're looking at this Obosh that we kept in our hand, and we're thinking, oh, I don't want the Neutralize to be in the hand.
And a Borrower could have cleared that up. Yeah, I don't know. I mean...
Now it's so hard for us to get this Obosh to stick onto the board, whereas it could have been so, like... It could have been so board demanding last turn when Fabrizio was tapped out.
Yeah, like Fabrizio, if Dylan had played it last turn, Fabrizio would either be at 4 right now, or the Yorion would be dead. And both of those feel like they would put Dylan in a better spot. But we are where we are. Let's see how things go from here. Borrower hardcast to draw a card to start with. That's fine. 8 mana left over, plus a land drop coming, and Ultimatum.
Oh.
Well, there is not a known counter, so...
There's not a known counter, and if we...
Oh, no.
Are we trying to bait him with the
Can we not cast it?
We had a Fabled Passage in hand. The Fabled assuming that there's another island in our deck, we could have searched for... The Temur ramp has 3 islands. No, all of our islands are in play. We can Fabled Passage for an island. So, yeah, But that's, like, not an oops. Like, if we wouldn't have played the Brazen Borrower, we would have never drawn the Ultimatum to known that it was an oops. So the oops feels a little strange to me. All right. This Beanstalk Giant is going to be as crazy as it was last turn, though it was already needing to be blocked because it's 11 damage.
Well, now, Love Struck didn't attack. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, that is also odd. So it is... factually 10 damage. Worst case scenario for Fabrizio, the Crawling Barons could also be thrown under one of these buses, but we do just have 2 Heartless Acts in hand and 5 mana with enough black to destroy both of them.
Right. Yeah, that seems like the way... Well, maybe Fabrizio's trying to line up a win with being able to kill untapped creatures and then attack through with Menace, but that seems tough. There's... we know one thing. Yeah, okay. We know the Beanstalk has to get killed. So that goes down. Now, the other removal spell, you probably want to cast it now. Oh, I take it back. There's other things to do. There's no one in the sea.
There are other things to be done. And I imagine that, like, we probably want to keep this Heartless Act to get rid of the Obosh. Especially, and we get that choice because the Lovestruck Beast didn't attack. And I imagine that the Obosh would want to be cleared so that we can attack with this Yorion and it doesn't get blocked by 1 Brazen Borrower.
Whoa.
Oh. All right, well, we said that this was
was
something
that
was possibly going to be bad.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, it looked like Dylan went to concede there and then changed his mind. Which is good.
He goes to 2.
Right.
Currently.
Well, but even then, I don't even know if he's going to 2 because Fabrizio, it's a pretty dangerous to send in there. And show that you don't have a counter.
That's true. So maybe we just attack for 3 and hold up whatever is in our hand. Hopefully scare Dylan off of playing this Genesis Ultimatum. Though I don't imagine that we go to Dylan's turn and there isn't a world where you're like, I don't play this Genesis Ultimatum. Like,
right.
We'd have to draw something crazy.
The most conservative player in the world is casting this turn.
Yeah. As a last-ditch effort.
There's only 1 card in hand for 1 unknown card for. Oh, it's Clear Resolve.
Oh,
it doesn't actually hit that hard. It's enough to kill the creature. Hit 5. All right, so you take out. Well, I guess you have 2. Yeah. Oh boy. There's only 1 red left. I think you have to kill the Atris.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then you hope that, let's see.
Meeny, meeny, miny, mo. Face or Atris, which will it be?
I don't think that's going to work. That'll hit they go to 4. I don't think putting him at 4 does anything. Because the Crawling Barons can activate end of turn, untap, activate again. And then I'm not sure there's enough mana to. Let's see. There's Heartless Act and we can play this for mana. Sure.
But it comes into play tapped.
Right.
Can we cultivate? Is there another? Nope. We have both the mountains out of our deck, so we can't search for another mountain to cast both Spikefield Hazards on Atris.
So Fabrizio needs 7. See, he needs 11 mana plus the Crawling Barrens to win the game with the revealed cards. I think.
Oh,
he's a Shark Typhoon.
I believe.
Well, now he has enough.
Yeah.
Just off of that, because you can kill the Terror of the Peace. That game was closer than I thought.
Yeah. I do think that there were a few things that probably both players could have done differently. It's easier to pick the things that could have been done differently from the side that we're watching, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
Or things that at least we would have done differently.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we've got some mystical disputes on the board. Those look like winners. Ox might find its way in also. For Dylan here, let's go ahead and look at Fabrizio's sideboard and see what he's got to play with. Now he's got a 14-card sideboard to exchange into an 80-card deck.
Hard to pick here. I wonder, possible that you want things like Agonizing Remorse for some of the bigger things. Usually like a good strategy against ramp decks is being like, okay, you can ramp, but I'm just going to take away your big threat. I
think you're right about that. The Mystical Dispute is fine even against some of the expensive cards, but with how long the game goes, it might go dead eventually.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm too keen on that. Are we just looking at like
just Remorse and Maze Mind Tome, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, Verdict hits a decent amount of stuff. It hits the Adventure Creatures and the Edge Wall. Maybe that's enough to justify playing.
It is a little sad that it only kills smaller creatures and costs 5 mana.
Yeah. But I mean, if there's a Brazen Borrower and a Bone Crusher, you're getting a couple things off. But yeah, I think the discard spells and the tome seem like winners.
Yeah, what do you think we're likely taking out of the deck? What isn't going to be super good out of Fabrizio's deck? Because I'm kind of thinking that maybe Ashiok's kind of medium. I think usually return spells against a lot of the adventure decks are a little kind of rough, and there's a lot of tricky things that the adventure creatures can do to get damage in against planeswalkers. So I feel like the Ashiok is medium. Extinction Event's just an all-star. We just want to see that, especially against the all my creatures are odd deck.
Right. I think Elspeth's Nightmare isn't so hot. It kills Innkeeper, and I'm not sure if it does much else.
Doesn't do much else, and the other modes not so good against this deck compared to some other decks. So I think that is a likely thing that got taken out.
All right, let's see how it goes. So we have Dylan down a game, keeping a hand here that's...
I don't like this hand.
I understand keeping... I mean, you have your ramp and you have your payoff, but... Boy, you really don't have anything in between, do you?
Yeah, Spikefield Hazard, not probably something. It sucks with all these spell lands that you're like, oh, I want to take out this spell land, but also it's a land. So how many of them can I realistically shave on? Yeah, see, the Agonizing Remorses came in, but we're just going to get rid of the ramp and just...
Oh, so I was going to say I would have played the Innkeeper on turn 2 in case there's a discard spell, take the Cultivate, and you draw an Adventure Creature. That turns out to be exactly what happened.
Oh, no.
And Dylan cost himself
a card.
A fairly well-developed board here. Yeah, I mean, he may get the card anyway, but and then the Innkeeper still doesn't come down. This, I don't understand that. Maybe he's playing cycling this turn, but...
Planning on cycling and just trying to play both of them in the same turn so that it hopefully resolves.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Oh.
I can live with that. Another Adventure Creature comes off.
Oh, and we don't have 2 greens, so we can't use the Edge Wall first to bait out something for this cultivate, which is a bit of a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now all of a sudden we're so far away from casting this ultimatum. Not like we really believe that the ultimatum's going to resolve that often anyway.
It did last game, and I didn't think it was going to resolve. I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. Yeah, so, okay. So we get our mana going a little bit here.
And we continue to hold off on playing the Innkeeper. I guess if you're going to commit to a strategy in holding the Innkeeper, you might as well commit to it hard. And we see Dylan committing to holding this Innkeeper to get as much value in one turn as possible.
This time I'm more on board with it because it's going to be trickier for Fabrizio to... Okay, also, I cut myself off there because I lost track of what I was going to say. Fabrizio has shown a willingness to tap out in the middle turns,
especially with Atris.
Right. So this will work, and in fact, the mana looks like it'll work out where it can go Innkeeper, kill the Atris, and then cast the Bone Crusher for a card. So that should be fine.
Yeah, that certainly is going to feel like a turn where you're kind of clawing back into it, though. There are looking to be 6 cards in Fabrizio's hand, which feels...
Is this what? Oh, I see. We're bouncing the token instead of killing the Atris. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I would have gone the other way.
I agree. I also would have gone the other way. Maybe Dylan has played this deck more and thinks that this is the better decision.
Yeah.
But I think it's scary to keep a ETB creature on the field against a Yorion deck.
Right. Okay, that gets picked off. Oh, well, that's
certainly helpful. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 6 mana. So we can go come to play tap land, Bone Crusher the Atris, cast the Bone Crusher, and still have Dispute up. That's pretty good.
And we play this Temple of Mystery, and if it doesn't we play the Temple of Mystery, and if the Mystical Dispute doesn't have to be played this turn, we're getting to a realm where we can use it to resolve this Genesis ultimatum.
Okay, well, this works too. I think we should counter this.
Yeah. I don't think I would understand if it doesn't.
I mean, I get trying to... I mean...
I like that he's hovering over it, being like, but I want it for this.
This is the thought process here. I understand, but I think this is too much to give up.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you, Joe. I do get it. As a lover of Genesis Ultimatum and this Temur ramp deck myself, I understand wanting to keep the Mystical Dispute for it. However...
there's still... Okay, so we still have a turn here because we can still pick up Obosh and then... hold up the dispute. Okay,
the worst.
It's not a disaster. I wish we were attacking for 4 instead of 3. I wish our opponent had a 1/1 flyer and not the Atris in play. But okay, we're still,
we're going forward with what we got.
Yeah.
A 3/1 versus a 3/2. A menace versus a flyer. And maybe you'll continue to be right. If Dylan has read that Fabrizio doesn't mind tapping out, even though he's playing a control deck.
Well, tapping out... I
don't think that's the case anymore now that Dylan has gestures to battlefield.
Yeah, tapping out turn, when Dylan has 4 or 5 mana is a lot different than when he has 7 or 8.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, so we draw a second dispute, which we actually don't need at the moment. We can't.
Man, imagine if we'd have used this. Oh no.
So we could play Obosh. That looks like the choice.
I do think that I like playing Obosh here.
If we're fetching now, does that mean we're playing Ultimatum? No? Okay, so we're... Obosh comes out.
Okay, tense moment.
Yeah, so this attacks in, gets in for 6. That's pretty good.
Okay. I did not expect it to get in. Perhaps we have an extinction event in the hand of Fabrizio, and we're saying, yeah, we can take 6, and we'll just 2-for-1 him on the next turn.
Ooh, Extinction Event would be interesting. That would lead to Hardcast Dispute, and then
Hopefully
Ultimatum.
having to, yeah.
Even if it gets countered back, or if it doesn't get countered back, then Fabrizio might just die. This, I don't know. This ramp deck is putting up more of a fight than I expected.
Mm-hmm. They're both at 10, so it's a pretty even place to be right now.
Ash.
Instead, we see
this is gonna hurt. If it's negate back, the game's over.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Holy smokes!
Dylan Simpson is going to tie this matchup. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
This is some good stuff we got going on here.
We've got ourselves a game.
Yeah. So So the Ox did not come in. It looks like we
only kept one Spike Field Hazard in, and we saw it.
The Crone Wars got boarded in. Is that what that was showing us? Oh, this is just. I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That was a little confusing.
But okay, so Dylan is ready to go for game 3 against Fabrizio Anteri. Fabrizio will make top 8 with a win. Dylan might make top 8 with a win. Fabrizio might make top 8 with a loss. That is unclear, as he's actually a match ahead of Dylan. Telling you how the cut plays out. So we look at the opening hand. This is playable, I think.
Certainly better than the last hand that he kept, in my opinion.
The hand that won the game? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what yeah. That is in fact what I'm saying.
All right.
His last hand had a Spike Field Hazard.
Well, that's true. But that just means that the Spike Field Hazard is in the deck to be drawn later.
You're right.
So,
Actually, 3,000 IQ.
I think we did choose to keep, so I guess we're waiting on Fabrizio.
Yeah. Fabrizio's got a little bit of a decider. Oh, roll to 6, sent one to the bottom. Deceit, gonna try and make sure that our next draw a little bit better than the card that we just sent to the bottom.
And we're off here for the last. I'm confident that there is not a backup match this round. So this is the last game of the Swiss, one way or the other.
And it's a tense one.
Yeah.
We had some criticisms about how Dylan played the last game, but he pulled it out.
Yes, he did. And notably, he did not pull it out off the back of a lucky ultimatum. He pulled it out just by winning.
Yeah. He held a mystical dispute that we both thought he should have played a turn before, and
that's very
he knew
true.
That he needed 2 of them.
Yeah. That that is
sometimes it's a little stinging to be a caster and just like get totally shown up and being completely wrong. But also I know that if I'm a player and I'm going back and I'm watching the commentators be like, I think this is wrong, and then I end up being right, I'm like, this is the best feeling of all time. Yeah. So I guess congratulations to Dylan for showing us that you were right, we were wrong, and bringing us into a game 3.
Now, I don't have a real feel for. It's easy to lose track of time while going through these matches, but my guess would be that both players have plenty of time left.
Oh yeah, so this we could be strapping in for a long one. That's for sure.
Okay. All right. So, do we want to run into Essence Scatter or negate?
That always feels bad when your creatures get countered by negate. But it looks like we're going to choose Essence Scatter. Simply play things that Fabrizio already knows about.
What I meant was I didn't realize I was being ambiguous, but I was. I meant the decision not between Heart's Desire, but between casting that Love Struck Beast or casting the Cultivate.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense as well. I was specifically talking about the adventures, but
right. Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, and I see what you mean. So we're on the same track now.
Both are fair.
All right. So we have a board developed, which is good, and I feel like didn't necessarily happen so much in their games. Now casting Atris, whereas it was basically free for Fabrizio the other 2 games, is now actually not something you can safely do on turn 4.
Yeah, which is a good place for Dylan to be in.
Yeah.
See, this hand is so much nicer than his last hand. I'm standing by that. I like this hand more than the last one, and we won the last one, so maybe that means that, I don't know, some crazy things happen in Magic. It's luck on the sides of both players and doing the best with what you draw.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Cultivate gets negated, clearing the way for Heart's Desire. And another attack for 1. So his Secrets of it doesn't actually hit everything in the deck. It doesn't get the tokens.
You're right. We do get to keep our princesses.
Is that what they are?
At least there's that. They're 1/1 humans, but when I cast for the VML, we always call them princesses.
I see. So the very first time I did commentary for Nerd Rage a couple years ago, I came up with a rule that I decided was that if a token attacks 3 times, then it deserves to be named.
Oh,
so
okay.
If that first token hasn't gone in twice, if it gets in a third time, then you can name the token if you would like. Now, I'm not sure it's going to get in a third time, but if it does, it
has to be the left one that's already attacked twice. It can't be the right one.
We'll see how things play out. But now there's a giant spider monster token thing in the way, so I don't know how likely it is.
Nightmares.
If it was me, giant spider horror monster tokens, it's not something I want to tangle with. Yeah. I mean, that episode of Mandalorian this season with the spiders, I did not like that.
I have not seen any this season.
Well, there's some spiders, and they're creepy.
Okay, I'll trust. I'm personally not very afraid of spiders.
Okay.
My first roommate when moving to LA, extremely afraid of spiders, forced me to not be afraid of them because I had to take care of every spider that was seen. Somebody's got to do it. Yeah,
I suppose that's true. You can't just go outside and wait till they die of old age.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could, I guess. I don't know how long spiders live for, actually.
All right, enough spider talk. Let's get on with the princesses and versus the horrors and love-struck beasts, and 2 players battling for our top 8 here at the Nerd Rage Standard Trial number 5.
This is quite a hand on Dylan's side. I think it's interesting that Dylan decided to not play Cultivate last turn and chose to play the Love-Struck Beast, especially considering that we don't have other lands in hand.
Yeah, I think drawing the Great Henge, I think Dylan got greedy to try and get that down instead of just the Cultivate, which I understand.
Yeah.
Although now that the Ashiok's on the board, the Great Henge is likely would just get bounced anyway. At least this sets it up a little bit. Jabari Disruption. Actually a 4 of in Fabrizio's deck.
Oh. I mean, it's also a land, so I think the card is cool, personally. Granted, it has a very... Anything that says counter for 1 has a very high ceiling, but also kind of a low floor. It feels great when you get to counter, really big spells, but also can be made irrelevant.
Drawing Innkeeper was really nice right here because it gets a free card, assuming it resolves. That was really significant. And then drawing a land here would be nice. Yeah, okay.
Bone Crusher Giant's not the worst. I'm surprised that the Great Henge resolved. I guess there's only one card in the hand of Fabrizio. So it's interesting. Fabrizio is both tapped out the turn before this one and now doesn't have a ton of cards in hand. We did see a Multisix. It's an interesting array of how the game has gone out.
Okay, so Dylan with access to quite a lot of resources now. 7 mana available, and 8th mana would allow it would have to be a red. No, yeah. A 3rd red source would allow Terror of the Peaks and Bone Crusher. Ashiok ticks up, so Great Henge stays on the board.
Man, if I'm playing this Temur deck, and I'm feeling like I'm in a pretty good spot, but this Ashiok just keeps making tokens, I'm annoyed. I'm I want to be pushing through damage. I want to be closing this game out. I know that I don't want to play a super long game against the control deck. This Ashiok would make me so annoyed. And it's not irrelevant that it exiles things off the top of your deck every single time.
Oh, no!
Oh, no.
Okay, well, that That was big. I mean, that was the only card in Fabrizio's hand, and if he didn't have a counter there, I think he was in a lot of trouble.
Oh, yeah. But if you're going to have any counter in your hand,
Yep.
That's kind of a good one to have.
Yeah, yes, it is. And this,
Oh,
this,
and this is the most, this is such a bad, it's a bad attack. I understand why this attack is being made, but it also feels so bad.
Yeah, that was not good. A 5/5 for a 2/3 was not a good trade. That can't happen. I mean, I understand that you got to keep the pressure up, but that can't happen.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, that Sublime Epiphany. I mean,
man, we gotta clip that one right there. We were talking about how Fabrizio is losing it in a bad spot. Only has one card in hand. The one card in hand is Sublime Epiphany, and this whole game turns right around.
Right. I mean, without the third token that got copied into play out, then the attack would have gone through. Mm-hmm. And, well, in addition to drawing a card, and now there's a Yorion in play. That draws another card. All right. So Fabrizio still only has 2 cards.
Oof.
This is still...
Man, and we attacked with the Lovestruck Beast, and now the Great Henge became uncastable.
Yeah.
I mean, we got another one, so, like, at least there's that. But it definitely... We're strapped for land right now. We can't be having expensive spells in our hand. At least we're going to be able to do this Cultivate. But by casting the Cultivate, we would be taking away the possibility of holding this Mystical Dispute. And we're trying to keep control of the board, but we're stuck in a place where we are losing control of the board that we previously had. And Fabrizio's had no cards in hand.
Yeah. And this Ashiok is climbing in loyalty, and I don't know what cards are exiled, but there's 9 of them, and that's enough to be frightening.
Yeah, I don't even... What's Ashiok's ultimate? It is a -7. You may cast up to 3 face-up cards of your opponent's own from exile without paying their mana cost. Oh.
If those 3 tokens attack, it's going to go from 9 exiled cards to 15. And at that point, Ashiok is going to do a lot.
Thanks for throwing that card up. So
and there it is.
Also Ashiok's ultimate.
Actually gets ultimated pre-combat, which means that there's already 3 cards that Fabrizio wants in the exile pile.
I imagine you look before this.
Yeah. So there's 1.
Oh, you get to cast... I mean, it makes sense that you would get to cast both sides of the adventure spells, but... And we're getting rid of the adventure creatures, so it means that we're just... Oh, yeah, of course. That's definitely one that I want. That's one that I want to copy. I was waiting for that. I was like, there's no way that we are ultimating this Ashiok if there's not an ultimatum in the exile. So the downside to us is we can't hover over exile and see what's there. But, I think the Brazen Borrowers that were cast before the ultimatum were just to be like, am I going to do it? Am I going to do it? You bet I'm going to do it. Here's this ultimatum. Let's go. Granted, the things that we got off the ultimatum, not so good. But it did give us some cards in hand, which we've been behind on cards in hand for a while now. So we'll take that.
Oh, my goodness. So that ultimatum hit a Shade, an Omen, a land, and then 2 cards went into hand, I think. Now, on the upside for Dylan, Fabrizio's clock just appeared, so he only has 9 minutes left to finish this game out. And Dylan is still at 20.
That's true.
Yeah.
Interesting that Skyclave Shade came into our deck.
Yeah,
I believe Skyclave Shade is a sideboard card.
You're
so
right, it is.
Interested to know why Skyclave Shade is making an appearance in the deck. In place of what? Personally interested. Perhaps the Jawari Disruptions came out.
Well, maybe I feel like we saw one this game, but maybe that was
some amount of them, maybe.
Yeah. All right.
They've got to feel a little bad against a ramp deck.
Great Henge can come in and then cast.
Now our hand is so clunky.
Yeah. Well, and again, there's so many land in play now that these Mystical Disputes are worthless. This doesn't even counter it.
Nope. I imagine someone doing that in paper, pulling a card out of their hand and being like, oh, and then putting it back. That would be me. I'm saying that because I can feel that happening. That would be me doing that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I think we're pretty set to put a bow on the Swiss here, but can Dylan drag this out for a couple more turns? Oh. There's a nice little shark type. A lot of stuff happened on that turn cycle for Fabrizio. I mean, usually you can't cast an ultimatum and then still cycle Shark Typhoon for a 6/6.
Oh yeah, but we got to cast our ultimatum for free.
Yeah, we did. I mean, it did cost us an Ashiok.
Oh, well, darn.
Yeah, and here are the other attack with the tokens. Yeah, imagine if those tokens attacked last turn and then Terror of the Peaks got flipped over before the ultimatum.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so this is going to be the end of Dylan's board. And he'll take a nice comfy 12 damage.
Going to 8.
And the shade
2
will
counter
get
spells
bigger.
in hand.
Yeah, Dylan is done. So nice run for Dylan Simpson, but he comes up a little bit short. And Fabrizio Anteri wins, goes to 5-1, and it's probably going to be a pretty high seed when the top 8 gets sorted out.
For sure.
That was an entertaining match. We had some good matches today.
Oh yeah, we watched a lot of back and forth. I did not anticipate. I mean, with how bad standard has been for quite some time, even through bad standard this year, I've found a lot of decks that I really enjoyed playing. I enjoyed playing Mirrors of, and it was kind of fun, but it's cool to finally be in a place where there's such a diversity of decks, and there's also a lot of these back and forths. We just witnessed at least like 5 that I can think of tonight. So it's very cool to see how standard has changed as the year has gone on and finally be in this kind of sweet spot.
Yeah. No, this has been all day long, the matches before you were here and now. I mean, we had entertaining stuff going on. Beky, that's going to conclude your section of the day. Thanks for being with us.
Of course.
If you guys are looking to find more of Miss Bell, where can they find you these days?
I'm pretty much at Beky Bear on everything. The important things are Twitter and Instagram. If you're looking for my website, I'm an illustrator and graphic designer. You can find me at BekyBell.com. My name, Beky, is spelled a little funny. There's no C. And if you're interested in also checking out the VML, you can do that through following Aspirant CCG. We are a league for female and non-binary players. And I also cast for them, along with Caroline, who you saw earlier. So we would appreciate some support and follows there. And if you're a female or non-binary player, maybe take a look at our league.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, that's going to be the end of the Swiss. We're going to take a break now, get the top 8 sorted out, and then I'll be back with Pro Tour champion Eli Loveman to finish out the day. So